Hi guys. Hi. So I'm really sorry to talk at you, which I'm going to do, because since I have such a small window of time, I really want to touch on a lot of important things that Roger, my colleague, please raise your hand, Roger, who's our chief specialist at Central Co-op, and I experienced in our immediate advocacy of the Estrella family. As retailers specifically, we faced a lot of backlash, and it was a really interesting experience. So I just wanted to be sure to capture all of my main points, so I'm really sorry to do this to you, okay? But I'm doing it to you anyway. So I'm Caple Melton, and I represent Central Co-op, which was formerly known as Madison Market. We are a consumer-owned natural foods cooperative in Capitol Hill. We've been around since 1978. And really what I wanted to talk about, or what Kelly asked me to talk about, and I think is really important, are sort of the ways and the whys of why Central Co-op decided to get behind Estrella, and also how that relates to a broader fight to save our traditional foods. So in the wake of the Estrella seizure, Roger and I were really quick to engage the Estrellas personally, and also the community of eaters we serve in a holistic, thorough dialogue, sort of specifically with an eye toward helping them just to improve their systems, or with this concept of support in mind instead of finger pointing and allegations. And that was that wasn't really happening, at least in our immediate community. And so instead of indulging the alarmist media sound bites, like Kelly's wiping poo on her cheese or something, and the Food and Drug Administration reports, like allowing them to go completely unchallenged, the first thing that we did was plan a trip out to the farm. And so in mid-December, we went out there, and the Estrella family was incredibly gracious. We went through a thorough farm tour. We looked at the negative test results. We held the papers in our hands. We looked at all of the systems upgrades that they did in the wake of the early 2010 recalls. We were pumped, and then we got to enjoy this really amazing farmstead meal with their entire family, and it totally blew my mind, and it sort of makes me want to cry. And we talked together as a community of eaters, with producers and eaters at the same table, about how important our pure traditional, foods are, and what crap this was that was happening to them, and sort of as a retailer, how we could support them. We got super straightforward, candid answers from the Estrellas, all the questions that we had as folks who are, looked to as distributors of safe food. We had all of those answers, we got them. They were pat, so we left feeling pretty good about our support of Estrella. So we promptly, when we got back, we set up a fund to support the Estrella Family Creamery. We were asking our owners to support the creamery. We were saying, hey, this is worthwhile. We had a pretty straightforward educational campaign that was just like, this is a family farm. They're doing all right. We vetted it for you. And we're interested in responsive, not punitive relationships that empower more resilient food systems. And so that was sort of our tack that we were taking there. And so $3,000 has since been raised by our owners, which is really exciting. That's all going to the Estrella family. It's pretty awesome. But we were quick to sort of realize that we were acting on an island. We were all caught up with this, and we were all jazzed after we went to the Estrella Family Creamery, and we were like, oh, all this money's coming, and this is great. And all of a sudden, a bunch of owners started cropping up, and they were like, you want pregnant women from this curve. That's what's really going on here. I mean, we were getting some serious allegations of putting people's health at risk, that we were being completely reckless. And Roger and I were the ones who got to vet all of those really fun statements. That was cool. But anyway, we did experience that, but I feel like because of our relationships with our producers at Central Co-op, and because we take good care of those, and because we were able to respond to folks in an intelligent manner, we actually saw that subside fairly quickly. So we're excited to say that we have sort of weathered the first wave of scrutiny around all of that. And it was funny because I have to tell you this story. So one of the people that came up to our product issues committee meeting and was pointing fingers at us and saying that we were specifically putting his pregnant wife in a really reckless situation. It's really awkward. Said that he rather supports Safeway, which I don't know if and I don't know if you know this, but right now they're involved in a lawsuit because they didn't actually follow proper product recall procedures. It's sort of ironic anyway. I guess, so at the core of our tack with this whole issue is just building relationships and how important that is as eaters, especially for those of us who aren't farmers or producers, just building relationships with the folks who are feeding us, and how that can go a long way toward food safety, way further than, the Food and Drug Administration, in my opinion. That's not to say that we don't have industry players who are doing really crappy things that need to be, brought to justice if that's happening. But certainly, I think, artisans, farmers, fisher folk, ranchers, any of these folks who are feeding us really amazing foods, who experience hardship, should immediately get our support, not our finger pointing and be shut down. And so with that, here's my little call to action. Get ready. So we're at an important crossroads in terms of our food system. I don't have to tell anyone here this, but we have less than 1% of the United States population is actively farming. Most of these folks are about to retire. And we're grappling with things like, the deregulation of genetically engineered alfalfa, sugar beets, corn designed for ethanol production, and maybe, genetically engineered salmon. We're also mourning the loss of legendary producers like Sally Jackson, all at the same time that we're looking at a new farm bill, and the farm bill has traditionally subsidized big ag over, food security and sovereignty. So now is the time to speak up, folks. We gotta speak up right now. And there's so much going on, and we can tell there's so much energy in this room right now just to make this all happen. That's why we're here today. So my suggestions are: break bread with your neighbors, build connections with the folks who feed you, demand that elected representatives represent you, and weave diverse alliances with people who share your desire to save authentic food. Now's the time.
Amen.
Thank you.